Oh, ladies and gentlemen, that was Ben Stowe, ladies and gentlemen, Ben Stowe. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. It is Tuesday night, and it is another Tuesday night with Ben Stowe, and I have got the one, the only Ben Stowe. Good evening, Ben.
Hey, John.
This is kind of a big night because not only is we're like celebrating 10 days of St. Patrick's Day, and we're here tonight to do it on TV or internet.
Well, it is a special day. Obviously a lot of people celebrate St. Patrick's Day and for a variety of reasons, but being of Irish descent, I enjoy celebrating it. I am very blessed that I still have my full-blooded Irish grandmother alive, and give her a call and wish her happy St. Patrick's Day. I think St. Patrick's Day in some ways has evolved as a holiday, not unlike Christmas or Easter, in that it's in Ireland, it's a religious holiday. Of course, it's in honor of St. Patrick, who was a Christian missionary. But now, of course, it's turned into green-tinted beverages and parades and all kinds of silly things like that. It's sort of lost the original message. And it's interesting, too, how in America St. Patrick's Day is perceived. Of course, we do have a lot of Irish immigrants in the country. One of the great things about America, I think, is how much cultural diversity we have, that we have all these microcosms of so many ancestral links. And I for one, just really enjoy that. I love learning about other cultures and meeting people from other cultures. But of course, it's fun to celebrate your own, too. Yeah. People, I think, really have kind of gotten lost over the years about the thing about why green, which really has more to do, I think, with, again, what I'm told from my Irish family, more to do with Irish solidarity and sovereignty and that sort of thing than anything else. And the shamrock, which St. Patrick apparently used as a teaching tool to less educated, non-noble class Irish, as he was talking about the Holy Trinity, and thus the three leaves of the shamrock. So interesting how we brought all that into green beer and drinking and
a reason to drink on Tuesdays.
Well, I'm not going to say anything about Irish and drinking, but we don't need a designated day for it anyway. So.
Now, Ben, when I was growing up, my German grandmother had a lot of the still traditional German things, especially German food. Now, as a child, was there anything when you would visit your Irish grandmother, is there any memories of kind of a specific Irish food that she would serve?
Well, no, not really, because my full-blooded Irish grandmother married a full-blooded German. I think we really got the best of all worlds, really. I mean, I think we just didn't, we're pretty Americanized. The German family's been in the country I'm the sixth generation. Irish, not so many years, or not so many generations, but no, we pretty much eat whatever we want. Although I was very happy to see my wife, who has just a very itty bitty tiny little bit of Irish in her, I think. Her family tree is much more diverse than mine, which is pretty much German and Irish split. I was happy to see some corned beef and cabbage in the fridge for preparation tonight. So.
Wow. You are going to be doing it up right now. If the kids make some green Kool-Aid, you are so set.
I'm sorry. I can't drink anything tinted green in the name of St. Patrick's Day. I just think that's taking it too far. I like green Kool-Aid, but today, maybe if you want to drink something Irish, it should be tinted a dark brown, with a Guinness label on it or something. I don't know.
More palatable for a lot of us.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know what, I would be very surprised. I'll say it this way. And if we have any Irish viewers, please chime in here. I've never been to Ireland, and it's on my to-do list for sure, but I have to believe nobody in Ireland drinks any green beer. I just have to believe that.
Or they do because the Americans come over asking for it. You got green
if
beer?
they do, they serve it to the tourists, and you can bet they don't drink it.
Let me take a selfie with my green beer.
Yeah, so Irish viewers, please help us out here. I don't know. I feel like I'm honoring my Irish heritage by not drinking green beer. So.
There you go. Earlier you mentioned, of course, that that there's a holiday, or there was a holiday that was more in line with you, one of your holidays. And I think if I would be, reading into that, that might have been what happened on Saturday.
Yeah, this is a pretty cool month. We have a couple of different holidays, some unofficial and some official. But of course, everybody knows that March 14th is, I mean, everybody should, right? Everybody knows March 14th is Pi Day, of course, in reference to, pi being 3.14. But what's really cool is that this year, 2015, we had what will likely be the only time in our lifetimes an epic Pi Day. In that, at 9:26 in the morning and 53 seconds, we had 3:14:15, 9:26:53. And if you could somehow figure out a way to tack on, 587 at the end, I think you got it. So there you have about as much of pi as any reasonable calculator will equate for happening in a date in our lifetime, 3.141592653587. So happy Epic Pi Day, everybody.
And for those of you who are sleeping right through it because you had a gig the night before, it was pretty epic.
You had 2 chances.
That's right. You had the morning and the night, and you were probably sleeping and working, so you missed them both.
You had 2 chances.
Oh, my kids were all excited about that, and they were showing, because they were studying that in math and such, and they were, I know this. So if nothing else, it really does help to get that mathematical concept out there, so kids, and specifically young girls, are more comfortable at least talking about it, which in some cases is probably the most math they've talked about in a long time.
Well, yeah, and of course there's a big movement towards the STEM classes, science, technology, engineering, math, that sort of thing, and I think it's great. Boys, girls, whatever. School is really not cool by definition, and I didn't like it either when I was in school, and it's a tough sell to explain to my kids why school is so important, but clearly it is, and we have a generation, we have a society that is less informed, I think, now than ever before. And maybe that's not fair to say ever before, but I feel like we have maybe we're missing some opportunities. We have fantastic educational opportunities, and we're certainly not taking advantage of them. I shouldn't say less educated, but maybe we're not as dialed into the opportunities in front of us. My mom, for example, just one generation ago went to school in a one-room schoolhouse. Mm-hmm. And now today, our schools have some of the best equipment and technology at your fingertips. And you'd be a fool to not take advantage of every second of that. To give yourself a toolkit that nobody can take away from you. So anyway, and besides, it's just fun to say things like, it's Epic Pi Day, and, have people wonder what you're talking about. So.
Yeah, exactly. One of the things, and then we'll have to head off, but you mentioned that that the education opportunities are different, or like they're missing some of them. I wonder if it's not so much that they're not missing things, but their focus is so much different than when you and I were there. And I'll give an example. When you and I were probably sophomores in high school, we could probably change a car tire without a problem. And it wasn't because of physically, it was just we knew what we were doing. Probably had changed oil in a vehicle by that time. I don't know if many of the seniors that are graduating from the school my son goes to, if they could do that, just because that's not the knowledge that they are really turning to. But now they could probably all tell you how to set up a Snapchat thing and be able to send this and do that and da-da-da-da-da. So,
well, and both are useful. Now, my grandfather and I, before he passed, we had a discussion. My grandmother was starting to get into a computer a little bit, mostly so we could instant message and that sort of thing. Mm-hmm. And my grandfather really just said, I'm so stupid. I'm so stupid. I just can't figure this out. And I said, that's not true, Grandpa. You're not stupid. You're uneducated. But what was necessary for you to know is different than what's necessary for us to know. Yeah. I could not hitch a team of horses to save my life, but you can bet that was a very necessary everyday part of his life as a young man farming, and horsepower quite literally was the power. And then tractors, and of course keeping the tractor running and in the field and operational. So he could. I never met a man who could fix a small engine better than him. Mm-hmm. In fact, we had a weed whacker here at the NLFX headquarters that someone put straight gasoline in instead of the 2-cycle engine oil mix, and seized that thing up. And, we thought it was headed for the junk pile. At this point, my grandfather had his Alzheimer's had pretty well advanced. and so he was just a fraction of himself at his prime. And I thought really this would be something that would just keep him entertained for a while. I gave him this seized up weed whacker, and I thought it would keep him busy for a while. But darned if he didn't have that thing running in less than an hour. I couldn't believe it. So he's, not stupid, but uneducated. Now, when we talk about today's youth, setting up Snapchat or basic networking structure, that sort of thing, they're probably important things to know. But I would submit that so is changing a tire. So is knowing how to cook a basic meal, those sorts of things. We could wax philosophical, but yeah, take it. Take English classes, take welding classes. If your school has some of those opportunities, why not? We're paying for it.
That's for sure. And eventually, some of those skills, even if you hire someone else, it's always nice to be able to say, that's, to be able to evaluate, that's a good job or that's a bad job. But we digress.
We do.
Let's see, what do we have? We had a question sent in from Kevin Romali. And this was kind of an in-depth question, and I figured, this is a Ben Stowe question here. Kevin's question, Ben, was that on the moon, of course, that it's a different situation than it is here on Earth. And he was wondering, would you be able to hear a subwoofer that is active on the moon that's being played?
Well, I would say it depends.
We haven't played that card in a little while.
Here's where I would go with that. The moon doesn't have an atmosphere, which is what sound travels through here, is air, but sound also travels through water. Whales communicate hundreds, maybe thousands of miles apart underwater. Sound also travels through solids. So while the moon doesn't have an atmosphere, it is solid. It's basically a floating rock, covered in the material they call regolith. Sadly, I know that.
And you don't have any notes in front of you?
I really don't. I have some material safety data sheets for fog that we're going to talk about later, but I really don't.
For those of you who are wondering that this is the way we do the show, and he doesn't have notes. Well, he's got fog notes tonight.
Yeah, well, they're not notes. They're material safety data sheets to talk about. Anyway,
we'll get to that.
And yes, I do know that pi is 3.1415926535887, but that's why you watch, right? Are you not entertained? All right, so back to the moon, and back, maybe. The moon is covered in regolith, and it's a solid object. So I would venture to propose that you could, in fact, hear a subwoofer if you laid your head to the ground, because the subwoofer and those frequencies would be transmitted through the solid object, particularly those deep low frequencies of a subwoofer, I would think would transmit fairly well. And the ground would then vibrate, and that's, of course, what we perceive as sound is when our eardrums vibrate. So if you laid your head to the surface of the moon, your space helmet would have air inside of it for you, and that air would then transmit the sound. Now, of course, we could get into the Sabine coefficients and the absorptive properties of everything involved, but I think it is possible for you to hear that sound on the moon. I think it is possible.
But not in a traditional way that we would imagine, of course, because now you're having vibrations transferring through other elements to get to you.
Right. And it gets into, is the subwoofer able to vibrate any air? Well, no, there isn't any. So the subwoofer would have to vibrate from the physical cabinet, from the physical driver and cabinet of the subwoofer into the ground, into the surface of the moon, through that regolith, which is kind of a soft aggregate of it's a variety of different materials that have been, broken up rocks and meteorites and whatever all over the moon. Mm-hmm. Some of it's kind of soft and powdery, and some of it's other. At least that's what I'm told. I haven't been to the moon, but watch a lot of TV.
Otherwise, I was going to say, let's start a Kickstarter campain
to send you to the moon.
Ben Stowe in his had a bucket list thing to go to the moon, so he can we'll do a show live.
I would have been happy with Ireland, but the moon is even better. So,
oh, good stuff, good stuff. Let's keep working through our list. We've got another question this past week. The question was brought up about fog juice, which of course you've got your little sheets there. But the question they were asking is that some people have talked about foggers, the smell from foggers, and they were wondering, does it depend on the machine or does it depend on the fog juice? And to kind of give them some ideas of what causes that smell. So, what do you think?
Yes.
Great. Next question.
Here's the deal. There's a lot of different things at work here. One is that all fog fluid is not created equally. And that's for a variety of reasons, not the least of which being design. We engineer different fog machines or different fog fluids for different properties. We'll get into that here in a little bit, but also fog machines are not created equally. So let's take the number one thing about smell. Some of the primary ingredients of fog fluid are glycerin and polyethylene glycol and propylene glycol. These are alcohols and sugars for simplicity's sake. Mm-hmm. And we all know what sugar smells like when you burn it. I was going to mention that I also happen to know the molecular structure of table sugar, just in case anybody's curious. It's C12H22O11, but that's really not relevant. I don't know why I even know that. All right. So,
one more tally in the useless information chart. Okay, go ahead.
Yeah, I really don't know why I know that. Handy, I guess, when you're having Frosted Flakes, I suppose.
Precisely.
Anyway, so we take this fluid that has these, glycols and glycerin in it, and we then, in a traditional fog machine, we pump it through a heater core. The heater core gets hot, and that makes it fog. And what we see as fog is essentially suspended water particles that are kind of bound to these glycerin compounds, and that keeps them from evaporating, so it hangs a little bit longer. We have something then to reflect our light beams off of, which is fog. Because of the way that this all works, though, if we take typically a cheaper fog machine, that's sort of the way it is, right? You get what you pay for. Mm-hmm. So with the cheaper fog machines, we have less accurate temperature control. And there's an acceptable range during which fog machines work best with fog fluid, in that it converts the fluid into fog, but it doesn't burn it. And that's typically where the stink comes from, is when these machines get too hot. Typically the cheaper machines. It's easier to make a machine too hot and not have to regulate it, so it still makes fog and appears to work to the client, but it burns the fluid and makes the stink. That's not the only reason that fluid can stink, though. Two is going back to what we have. We have maybe, glycerin, vegetable glycerin. We have water. We have some of these where microbial bacteria and things can live and grow. And if you've ever had water sit stagnant for too long, it can get kind of nasty.
Yeah.
Well, the fog fluid sits in the jugs, and it sits in storage containers, after being made. The materials sit in storage containers prior to being made. So depending on the filtration process and the deionization process of the water, the purification process, and all those sorts of things, you could have some impurities. For example, not to give a sales pitch, but our fog fluid is it's UV treated to eliminate as much microbial organisms, life, and bacteria as we can. And it's actually done so several times in the process, not just before the materials are blended and not just all of the ingredients, but then also after, just to give it a longer shelf life. But anyway, it can accumulate, and I've got some samples here with me, it can accumulate microbial life over time, and they can live in there, and of course they make it stink too.
Sure.
So could be both. Depends on what the stink is. Mm-hmm. Probably is from the machine burning the fluid, and some fluids and some formulations are more tolerant than others. For example, and I've got some different examples here of some of these material safety data sheets. Where we can see this is one for this is Chevet fog fluid, mm-hmm. and here's one for here's a couple. Here's one from Real Effects. Their DF50 is kind of legendary. This is their oil-based fluid, but of course, oil's under a lot of fire for some of its occupational and environmental hazards. So here's their oil-less fluid, and we can see, you probably couldn't see on the screen, but this one is essentially 100% white mineral oil for ingredient content, whereas this one here is now using glycerin compounds or these other polyfunctional alcohols that we were talking about. And then, of course, here's one for NLFX brand. And there again, we're talking about different, polyethylene glycol, propylene glycol, glycerin, that sort of thing. But then, of course, the ratios of the ingredients, the mixing process, all of that can vary greatly. And anybody who's used two different kinds of fog fluid will tell you there's probably some difference there. Which one's better, of course, that's a matter of subjectivity. And it's a matter of the machine and what the machine is designed to do. We can get into oil versus water, and we could really it's a lot more complicated than you think it would be.
Yeah.
It's just a fog machine. Why can't it be this simple? Here's two good examples of fluids that we make and offer. This one here, the Platinum series, mostly comprised of the polyfunctional alcohols, runs very, very clean. People say it smells very pleasant. Doesn't stink.
Yeah.
It's a bit more tolerant too. And we actually have recommendations based on the size of the heater core and whatnot. And of course, by the way, too, how fast is the pump running? If the pump is rushing the fluid through, then the heater core temperature has to be relative to how fast the pump wants to push it through. And then this one here, our Arctic Mist, is designed for vertical foggers or low-lying foggers where you want that, or just where you want that fog to appear very full and white and then disappear. It's gone within minutes. And we use this one. Actually, it was really came about because of stuff we were doing in hockey arenas. There's a layer of cold air above the ice, and learned things the hard way, right? We cranked out some fog for one of our women's hockey games several years ago, and the game was delayed by 8 minutes because there was a layer of fog, just like striations of fog hovering about 4 feet above the ice.
Oh, no.
We said, this won't do. So we had to come up with a fluid that we could have the effect, but then it would go away so they could have a game.
Yeah.
And it works wonders, by the way. We're very happy with the performance of it.
And what's the compound, or what's the makeup? What's the difference between the two? You didn't cover the second one, of what that one was made from.
Well, the exact ratios and ingredients, that's proprietary. I can't tell you that. But
are they different ingredients between the two?
Well, it's different ratios of some of the same types of ingredients.
Okay, so
and I'm sort of non-specific, but it's comprised of these polyfunctional alcohols. These glycerin compounds that we talked about. And again, different ratios and of the different ingredients. Again, with the deionized water, and again, I don't want to. It's proprietary.
No, I understand. Yeah, but as the ratios change,
right? Yeah, as ratios change, performance changes. This fluid goes away very quick, but it looks nice and full and white right away. This one spreads out into a nice, very thin, even, almost like a haze. And in fact, it's great for use in things like phasers, foggers that sort of act like hazers, but they use traditional fog fluid. Works very, very well in that. But the question is, why does it stink? And the answer is it could be either the machine or the fluid.
Now, is there any way to put a masking agent in the fluid? I remember back when we first got the first fogger, and someone had mentioned putting a scent. They were selling a scent. Is that still around, or do people use those yet? Or?
Oh yeah, they're still around. Pros and cons. We want to be careful about the impurities we're putting into the machine. We want to make sure that we're not clogging pumps and creating problems with our heater cores. But there are scents that are out there, and they add a smell. I think if you have stinky fluid and you're trying to add a scent to it, or if you have a stinky machine and you add a scent to it, first of all, you run the risk of burning the scent compound as well.
Mm-hmm.
Second of all, you're just going to have a stinky scent.
Yeah.
You already still have the stink. It's sort of like, you don't take a shower, so you just try to spray on a little deodorant. Well, you just have the mix of both. It's sorry for the
visual. Thank you. Yeah.
Right. hey, I shower.
Yeah, exactly. Nobody stinks in here, man.
Yeah. Plus, you can't smell me over Skype anyway. So there.
Yeah, smell-o-vision's not working today. Well, cool. That's interesting. I didn't realize that it could be a combination of both. But again, it depends on what a person has going on there.
Yeah, it depends. There are definitely fluids that smell better than other fluids. But again, that also is going to depend on the machine and the temperature range within it operates and how well it maintains that temperature range. Where we go between spitting out fluid that's not quite fog on the low end to burning it on the high end. Yeah. You got to find that sweet spot.
Interesting. Good stuff. One last topic we wanted to talk about tonight, and that is an upcoming event you've got coming up here in just a few weeks, I believe, with the Lighting Symposium.
Yeah, don't remind me. It's coming up so fast. Really excited about it. This, of course, another lighting symposium held at the Electro Voice World Headquarters. We have some fantastic sponsors. We've got Chevet DJ is the headlining sponsor, and then Eternal Lighting and Ape Lights are also sponsoring it. Of course, Roscoe and Electro Voice as corporate sponsors. And I believe we have a bridal association, or the Bridal Association of America, that just signed on. I have to check with Mike, who's my partner in the Lighting Symposium, and just confirm that I believe that's the case as well.
Nice.
A really awesome roster of presenters. I'm really excited about it. We've got Chad Tiller, who has traveled around the country. He's guest lectured at New York University and Rutgers, and teaches theatrical lighting design and works with some of the world's top lighting designers. And he's going to come in and provide some very solid, fundamental information to our attendees. We've got my friend Donnie Lewis, who's going to come in. He's done some amazing things with projector mapping and image mapping. Really another visual element, of course, video. And I just, after seeing some of the stuff he's done, I reached out to him and I said, Donnie, we got to have you at the symposium. That is a very marketable thing. People are going to learn how to transform rooms with video, not just on a screen, but transform the scenery of a room with video and cake mapping and that sort of thing. Mike Weeder's going to come in and talk about Luminaire, which is very popular for the iOS, using an iPad to control lighting, walking around. Very well-featured mobile application. Yours truly, I'm going to speak extensively on DMX and IP structure as is necessary to understand things like Luminaire, but also the remote apps for like Show Express. And we're going to spend about 3 hours on Show Express version 7, really get our hands dirty on that and go into that in pretty big detail. And then I'm going to show people how to create their own mobile app, so to speak, to create their own interface to control Show Express beyond the live app that you can download for Show Express. Okay. So trying to think of an elegant way to explain that, but people say, well, I wish I could color mix from an iPod with Show Express, and I'm going to show you how you can. So, and some other cool things. Of course, Mike Fernino talking about selling, and I can tell you firsthand, the man is very, very good at selling. He has done well for himself in his business. I think he could sell ice cubes to a Minnesotan, and just there definitely be some things you'll pick up from that. Anyway, just really excited about the lineup. It's limited to just 40 people. We've sold out every year. We will no doubt sell out again this year. This is typically the week that happens, looking at historical sales data. So it's kind of anxious to see who's going to get the last 12 tickets that are available. And then there's always people that message the week following and say, oh, I missed out. And the bad news is it's not that we don't want you there, but we only have so much room. We hold it at the Electro Voice World Headquarters, which is a very cool place, by the way, to see where loudspeakers are designed and born. Their anechoic chamber, their destructive rigging testing, all those very cool things. But they only have so much space, and they're a large corporation. They adhere very closely to concerns about, fire marshal and occupancy. And so, when we're out, we're out. Yeah. So urge people, if you're thinking about it, to get the ticket booked now. Plus, we're kind of in the sweet spot for airfares.
Yep.
We're right about the 3-week time period. That's about the sweet spot for you're going to find your best airfares. Our host hotel is right across the street from the Mall of America. It's very cool. You can walk over and go hang out at Nickelodeon Land or do whatever suits your fancy. There's a mechanical bull at the Cadillac Ranch. Go knock yourself out, literally. Nobody got knocked out last year or the year before.
What are the dates for the show? We didn't talk about the dates.
Oh, it is April 14th and 15th. So you can celebrate Tax Day in Minneapolis with us at the Electro Voice headquarters.
That would be an awesome.
One of the greatest things, I think, is going down to, attendees can stay anywhere they want, but we arranged a discounted rate at a hotel for them. We make nothing on that. It's just something we actually lose money because we subsidize the shuttles. Yeah. We bought shuttles from that hotel to and from EV. We just wanted to make it, simple and a good experience for our attendees. So they stay at that host hotel right across the street from the Mall of America. We've bought shuttles to send them to and from the symposium. And one of the really great things is coming down at 10 o'clock at night or so down to the hotel lobby. We have a little room where breakfast is served the next morning, but they allow our attendees to kind of congregate in there. And here's people with their laptops out trying some of the things that we talked about earlier in the day. They're sharing ideas. I think there's just tremendous value in the attendees, people that are that dedicated and committed to lighting to come to this event, buy a ticket, and get themselves to Minneapolis. You put all those people in a room and just magic happens. And it is just awesome. And that's usually why I come down is you maybe find somebody who's stuck on something and it's a lot to retain. So, we just kind of, here, that's what you want to do there. And then, then the wheels are turning again. And it's a lot of fun.
Nice. If people would like to find out more information, where can they go to check that out?
Go to thelightingsymposium.com.
And I think if I'm not, the link to the Eventbrite and everything was there, if I'm correct.
Yeah, if you go to that, it'll take you right to the registration page on Eventbrite. Yeah, you can also go on Eventbrite and search for the Lighting Symposium, but and maybe you could put a link in the description of the video.
Put that down the bottom there so people can check that out.
Very cool.
Yeah, that sounds good. And that's, again, only about 3 weeks away. And, of course, when you guys are watching this tonight, Tuesday's one of the best nights to check out airfare. So.
Yeah, come to think of it, Tuesday night we'll be at the symposium. So
that's right.
It's a Tuesday and a Wednesday night, so we'll have to maybe we'll check in from the hotel lobby and see what's going on.
Yeah, we've done that before, and that's always kind of a cool time.
Yeah, and last year, for example, we have my friend Mike Cronin, who's an ETCP certified rigger, who came down and spent hours in the lobby with people after hours, answering rigging questions and telling stories, and I think it was just a fantastic experience. And we've encouraged all of our attendees to make themselves visible and available. But even if you only see them at the Electro Voice headquarters, that's going to be well worth it. And of course, all of our sponsors are there. They're bringing toys. They're bringing, and Evie is actually in the process of remodeling right now. It's going to be finished just in time for the symposium. So nice new little lunch area right off the academy. And then a little room where you can go hang out with our sponsors and get your hands dirty, talk to the factory reps, and look at ways and how you can advance your lighting business. Yeah,
for sure. It's a great opportunity, and I've heard everyone that I've talked to that has attended the whole thing has really just had positive things to say, and they've learned a lot from it. So a good event.
I think that's the real hallmark of it is how many alumni come back and how many alumni mention they would love to come back. Mm-hmm. Understandably, it doesn't work for everybody every year. And I just think that's what's great, the number of people who have commented on some of the threads on the Facebook groups and stuff saying, look, if you don't go, you're crazy,
Yeah, for sure.
And these are people who spent their hard-earned money to be there. So we hope that the attendees this year feel the same way. I put a lot of emphasis on making sure that the attendees can come away with something. Obviously, as with anything you go to learn, you bring away with what you come with.
Yeah.
If you come ready to learn, you'll learn something. And some people are going to learn more than others because they're coming from different places. But nonetheless, I want to make sure that it's worth everybody attending, and we give the attendees a jump drive with all kinds of goodies on it. And it's great just seeing the fellowship that grows out of that.
Yeah, and of course that was at thelightingsymposium.com, so you guys can check that out. Ben, good show as always. We've learned a lot. We've learned about the moon, we've learned about foggers, and we've learned about green.
Pie.
And pie. Yeah.
Well, there's one more holiday in March that very few people know about, and I do have my corned beef and cabbage waiting for me at home, so I want to wrap this up. But I got to leave you with this. There's Noah Day. Of course, recently the movie came out, and many people have read the bestseller. That'd be the Bible.
The Bible, yeah. Yep.
And anyway, well, Noah Day happens in March. See, you all know the story. Whether you're religious or not, I think everybody knows the story of Noah. That 40 days and 40 nights it rained, and he floated around in an ark. And he had the animals, and boy, you can imagine he was quite ready to get off the ark after 40 days of bobbing around. And that happened this month. That's when the ark finally landed, and Noah opened the doors, and there was, the voice of God said, "March forth."
Oh, ladies and gentlemen, that was Ben Stowe, ladies and gentlemen. Ben Stowe. I was expecting something else. If you got any questions or comments about tonight's show, please put those in the comments down below the video. We appreciate any kind of feedback you have. If you've got anything you'd like to see us cover in an upcoming show, down in the comments, send us a message on Facebook. Get a hold of us one way, shape, or form. Pop out to our Facebook page, which is Tuesday Night with Ben Stowe. Search for that, and you can go put a comment there. We really just appreciate the feedback as you guys are watching this show, and let us know what you enjoy, and maybe Ben can have another joke for us. A historical lesson for us next week.
Now you know why I don't tell too many jokes, right?
And here I was actually really thinking, it's like, gosh, I never heard of this Noah holiday. Ben, thank you very much for your time tonight. Go enjoy your corned beef. I think it's a delightful thing, but I'm glad I'm not the one having it tonight.
It's once a year,
That's one way to look at it. So, again, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for watching. I'm John Young with the Disc Jockey News TV. That's Ben Stowe from NLFX Pro. Thanks for watching. Good night.